Hi guys, welcome back to the Star Wars figure review. Next video we're going to be taking a look at one of the figures from the Black Series archive line, and before I get a new description, because I gave you a look at one of these figures back earlier in the year, but I don't think anyone isn't too sure what they are. The Black Series archive line is basically a line of originally released Star Wars action figures that were released as part of the Black Series earlier on in the waves. This is basically re-releases of them in a new line. So any new collectors to the Black Series line don't have to pay extortionate prices for the figures. You can still pay them at the original retail price they were charged at and not miss out on the collection. It's basically a second chance for anyone who wants to pay average, reasonable prices for some of these figures. Now I've jumped on with some of these because I didn't really collect the Black Series until well into the Force Awakens era line. So this one I'm about to give you a look at now is definitely a worthy addition into this collection. So Wave 2 has recently just launched here in the UK, but we're continuing this review of the Wave 1 figure, because the first figure I gave you a look at was the pilot Luke Skywalker figure, and the next one I'm going to look at, you've probably read the title already so you know what's coming. It is this character here, Bossk, the bounty hunter from the Empire Strikes Back. Now before we look at him, we'll take a look at the packaging that he comes in. As you can see, it's more a cardback style packaging, as difference to the more presentation box look that the main Black Series line has, but you still have your Gregory Titus artwork and the usual title display, and in the back you have the bio of the character with the same artwork, and of course a picture of the original figure. So as you can see, this one came out in 2015, which was the blue, had sort of the blue stripe across there. It's probably the shortest lasting of the Black Series packagings, because we started with the orange line from 2013 through to 2014, and then in 2015 until Force Friday we had that blue line, and then from Force Friday onwards we've had the same packaging since. So yeah, it's a bit of a retro look back for some of us as well. Like I know Black Series is barely 6 years old, but it's still a nice little retro nostalgic feel looking at all that packaging again. But that's nothing really to comment on really. So we look at this Bossk figure, and he is again one of those fantastic figures to add to a bounty hunter collection, because all 6 of the bounty hunters out of the Empire Strikes Back have been released as part of the Black Series line. Boba Fett and IG-88 are available as Wave 1 of the Black Series line, so if you didn't pick either of those up, they're also available in Wave 1, whereas Dengar, Forlom and Zuckuss have been released more recently, and Zuckuss should be available soon, so I'd suggest having a look at retailers to see if you can get your hands on him. But yeah, but as I say, for now, Bossk, Boba Fett and IG-88 all available too, so they're definitely up for grabs if you want them. And for 2015 standards of the Black Series, this has to be one of my favourites. There's always a few slight tweaks that they've done, but because I never owned the original Bossk, I can't really tell what they are. I would ask anyone who's watching this, if you do own the original one and this one, if you could let us know in the comments whether there is anything different about them or not, because that would be great. But the jumpsuit that Bossk wears, the reused from Doctor Who one, as a lot of you probably don't know, there's a bit of history about that. It's from the I think it's the Will Hartnell or Patrick Troughton era Doctor Who. There's a character who wears this suit, so it's actually recycled from that, which is pretty cool. But all the little details, like all the parts of the suit, are actually separate pieces. You know, they're not molded into the suit. That's a great thing. Like even the sort of pipe thing on the back, that is a separate piece, because the only other Bossk figure I have is one from the Power of the Force line, which is actually on that middle shelf just there behind me where you can see Director Krennic. But this is honestly one of my favourite figures, and has such great detail to everything to making Bossk the character he is. Like you can even open his mouth. The Trandoshan's mouth can be opened and sort of have him in a different pose there. And just the detail on his face there, his eyes, and then just all the insignias on his suit, and then just all the deal with all his all his body, all the scales of his body, like they're plastic molded, which doesn't really matter too much. But every tiny bit, like the spikes, his back, his toenails, just everything about this makes this figure honestly one of my favourites out of the Black Series line. I'm surprised this one did come out in 2015 because it partly doesn't feel like it did, just because of how excellent everything in it is. I'll give you a quick rundown of the articulation. There's a ball jointed neck, which is rather restricted because of the sort of turtleneck brace there, but that's not too much of a problem. Ball hinge shoulders and elbows, which are a good addition. Ball hinges at the wrists. Ball jointed torso, which again is slightly restricted just because of the extra detaily parts there. Ball hinged hips, swivel thighs, double joints at the knees, and a ball joint rocker at the ankles. So that's all great stuff. I think the one main letdown is just the amount of accessories, because the only one you get is this blaster of his, which you see him holding during the bounty hunter meeting scene. But of course, his major scene in the movies is during The Empire Strikes Back. Right after Admiral Piet says, "Bounty hunters, we don't need their scum," and you see him turn around, and Bossk is sort of towering over him at that point. Of course, he is heavily expanded on the Clone Wars, so you got more roles within there. And who knows whether he might even pop up briefly in Mandalorian or the new upcoming Clone Wars series. But we know that IG-88 is, but that'll be a different video to come and we'll bring that up. But honestly, if you didn't pick up Bossk the first time, definitely pick this guy up in the archive line. Either if you're a bounty hunter collector or you just want an alien character to add to the Black Series line, because they seem to be the hardest ones to actually get a hold of. Because I was talking with fellow YouTuber Danny1000, he was telling me, because he and SithLord229 were discussing about this, the lack of alien characters that we're getting in the Star Wars line of the Black Series, and I have to heavily agree with him, because I've always been wondering why they haven't released characters like Ayla Secura or Cad Bane, like people like that, why they haven't got figure releases like Bib Fortuna from Return of the Jedi or Admiral Akbar. I mean, I know he had an exclusive 2-pack with the First Order officer from The Last Jedi, but not in his Return of the Jedi format. And then Nine Nunn, he hasn't got one either. It's characters like that don't have Black Series releases, whereas other characters like Admiral Holdo and like other characters that some fans don't like, and fans that characters do like, don't get releases. Like there's a lot of, like a Bothan Spy that hasn't been released either. Like there's a small number of alien creatures compared to human characters in the Black Series line. But it's good to see that they were focusing on it. Bossk at least got a chance to have his time to shine in the Black Series line. He's been given it again, and that's what this figure gives. It honestly is one of my favourites, especially from the time period it was from being from 2015. This one is I think is my favourite figure from that year now. Just like this was the Force Awakens figures launched, but I think this one just tops it in every way. There's nothing really too wrong to say that, aside from some of the parts on the suit obstructing articulation. But he looks great on display, and especially since I'm trying to build the bounty hunters in the collection, I think this one is a fantastic addition and will work nicely. So do drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it. There'll be a link to where you can buy this guy from Star Action Figures, and do leave a comment as well and subscribe for more content. I'll be back with some more very soon, so I'll see you next time, guys.